This is Bahar from Turkey. We are practicing IP and IT mainly. And I was actually representing a topic related to IP in Turkey. But a couple weeks ago, I decided to change the topic because it's, IP is kind of, I found it a very most attractive topic instead of IP because there is a recent amendments in a regulation of the privacy law in Turkey. So I prepared a very brief, presentation, John, just only focusing on what has been changed in Turkey recently in the privacy law. Um, first, the how can first the law actually came into force in 2016. But then about the some of the articles in data protection law, one of them is sensitive data, and the other is how to transfer the data abroad. And we were struggling during the amendments because of the law were not giving us many spaces, and it was little bit away from the GDPR. Now the amendments try to get the law close to GDPR, and I would love to, while I talk, I would love to hear more, experience from Manolis because he's practicing in GDPR or other, other attorneys, other colleagues, if you are practicing the same thing. I would like to. Okay. I would like to. Okay. I cannot, do anything on the presentation right now. I would like to change the slides, but okay, give me a second. Can you please give me a second?
So Urs, tell me more about the Marrakesh part of the trip. What are you cooking?
Well, the plan would be that we leave Casablanca on Friday afternoon with a bus, going to Marrakesh, have a small dinner when we arrive. Then on the next Saturday morning, a tour around Marrakesh. Wissam, you correct me if I forgot something. Then the afternoon will be free, and we have a really nice Moroccan dinner Saturday night. And the Sunday morning is still to be discussed. And then on Sunday afternoon, the bus will go back to Casablanca or the airport, wherever you want to go.
Okay, so anyone who's planning to go should arrive Wednesday morning.
No, not Wednesday evening. The first thing is a small reception at the hotel in the city center of Casablanca, where we have a drink reception and some food. Then the official program start on Thursday morning with lectures, and then we have a lunch, and in the afternoon we go to the big mosque in Casablanca. I think this is the most important sightseeing thing to do, and it's the biggest mosque in Africa, I think.
Highest in the world.
Highest in the world. Sorry. And then
highest, biggest in Africa, but highest in the world. Yeah, indeed.
And then, thanks to Wissam, we go to the restaurant of Casablanca, where I'm sure you all saw the movies, and we have dinner there. Then Friday morning, we have a more internal meeting. And then after lunch, we travel to Marrakesh. So the conference will start Thursday morning, but you're more than welcome to arrive on Wednesday and last until Sunday. But it's up to you what's better, to fly into Casablanca, or for me in Germany, there are nearly no direct flights to Casablanca, but direct flights to Marrakesh. So I personally will fly to Marrakesh, but it could be the reason because after Sunday I will go to Essaouira for 2 or 3 days surfing. So if Marrakesh doesn't work, I already contacted some people in Essaouira. It would work there, but not as nice as Marrakesh. Essaouira is a small town compared to Marrakesh, and it's nice, but not as good as Marrakesh, I would say. But
Can
better for
everyone-
surfing. You're
I'm
ready
sorry.
now? Bahar?
Can everyone see the slide right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, is it moving?
Martin.
No.
No,
Okay. I don't know what's
it's
wrong.
frozen. Maybe you just go ahead without showing us the slides, and we can send the slides later on.
Okay. But it's like I wanted to show the articles. I don't want to read the whole articles and just talk about the articles instead. But I have no idea what's wrong. But okay.
Bahar,
So
would you
let me talk about the Article 6 of the data protection law in Turkey. It's about the processing the sensitive personal data. It's numerous clauses. We cannot extend every each sensitive data regulated in the law. It's race, ethnicity, political opinion, psychological belief, religion, so on and so forth. But what we were facing before the amendment was health and sexual life and other sensitive personal data were distinctive. Like if we wanted to process the health and sexual life, and if we do the other, we had to follow other steps, and at the end we had to go through and get the explicit consent. Otherwise we were not able to process the sensitive personal data. It is because even though the regulation specifically states the employers to process those data, like health health data. But now what we can do is they deleted the statement of processing sensitive personal data with the explicit consent. So once they delete it, now we are free. We are not, of course, we are not fully free, but we are kind of free to at least process the sensitive personal data if it is regulated by law, if it is stated Article 5 and 6, which are stated what are the main points giving us the space to process personal data without explicit consent. And the other thing was sharing sending the personal data abroad. In that case, I want to mention something in GDPR, and it's because previously we were not we had only two options to send the personal data abroad. One is explicit consent. If the employer was at least using the data, using the cloud program, which is storing outside of Turkey, we were struggling. We were like telling the employer, okay, get an exclusive consent or get a, confirmation from the institute, the protection institute, which was very hard to get it. But now they changed it. They got very close to GDPR. It's because what GDPR says, if you have adequate decision, if you have adequate decision, then you can transfer the data abroad without getting explicit consent. And the second, if you have some key mechanisms. Okay, if you see this Article 9, like before, it was just personal data cannot be transferred abroad without explicit consent of the data subject. And in that case, even though our clients were storing their data in cloud somewhere else other than Turkey, we were asking them to get an explicit consent, but it was really hard to get those because you have to. And if you're practicing in some of the areas where the client is working very closely with the customers and also the employees, and it was kind of impossible. And we were telling them, okay, opt out getting the explicit consent, try to get it. If you not, then there's no options other than using your or storing your data abroad. But after right now, there are three options, as I mentioned. One of them is like adequate decision. The second one is key mechanisms, what we call them standard contractual clauses and binding corporate rules. Now, even though we don't have both options available, right now we still have one more options, which is also coming from GDPR, which states that whether you have adequate decisions or not, doesn't matter. If you still have if you don't even have any idea of processing the data stated under Article 5 or either 5 or 6, you still can transfer your data abroad if you have explicit consent, and if your explicit consent is informing the person with the potential risk they may face with the transfer of data abroad. So the transfer is necessary for the performance of the contract between the data owner and the data controller. And the transfer is necessary for important reason for public interest, legal claims, or to protect the vital interest of the data owner. So in those cases, even though the first three I mentioned is opt out, you still have explicit consent, and then you're free to share your data abroad. And the last, I wanted to show you the misdemeanors, because it's not as high as GDPR, but it is, I think, very, very high compared to other countries. But I have okay, give me a second. I have this problem today, so I'll. Okay. So when the law came into force, it was 5,000 Turkish liras. It is not even, like 500 something. But right now, the range is very high. It's right now, it's around 9 million, 9.5 million Turkish liras, which is very high. But compared to GDPR, it's still less than what GDPR says. And the institution is really working hard. And if you fail to follow up with one of the responsibilities that the law tells you to do that, and that means you fail to do that, especially for the cyber securities. And if you have if you face to a cyber crime, and if the if you were enter into a cyber attack, then you are in a trouble. You have very limited time to, reach out the institution, and the fines are really high, and they what they do is very strict. They reach out the company and get all the documentation, and review everything. At the end, they give you a fine. I think there is no other way. So overall, I think the recent amendment, specifically Article 6 and 9 and 18, I think it's really reflecting Turkey's dedication to meet with the international requirement like GDPR. And comparing to other countries, I think most of the MENA countries, Turkey is a very, I believe, step away from those countries, because they are, since 2016, they are improving the amendments, improving the practices, getting closer to GDPR, which is very important. And it's really, I would love to hear more experience, like specific experience from other countries, how they deal with transferring the data abroad, how they deal with, processing the personal data, sensitive personal data in their country, and how they, tell their clients. And I would like to thank everyone to listening at this time of the day, and would love to see everyone in September Paris, hopefully. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer.
I've got a question, Bahar. If you are transferring data to a European Union country, which is deemed to be a safe country, do you still have to register under the Turkish law if you're processing data in Turkey? Or is it sufficient to show that if you're complying with GDPR, that you're complying with the rules in Turkey?
Yes, and if you have SSCs, or if you have adequate decision, which you have to get it from the institution, yes, you have to. Another two options, contractual, relations. You still have to show the institution your contractual, obligations. And if you have a specific, decision, even though a specific area from that country, not from the whole country, but specific region or area of the, like, let's say, automotive institution, and there is an adequate decision, then you can still transfer the data, but you have to show those to institution. So they have to work.
Sorry.
They have to work on it.
So if you've got SCCs, for instance, you could show the SCCs to the Turkish authorities. Do you have to proactively show them, or is it just if you're asked, you can say, look, I've got SCCs in place and that's why I'm transferring data out of Turkey?
You have 5 days. Yes, you have to interactively show. There is a limited time period that you have to follow.
Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm being silly, but please just so do I have to? So if I'm asked, I understand that I have to show them, but what if I'm not asked? Do I still have to register with the Turkish Data Protection Authority?
Yes, you do. And if you don't, and if they find it lately, then you will face misdemeanors, because you're not, you fail to follow up your responsibility based on the law.
I have a question, Bahar. Oh.
Please, Edward.
Yes, thank you very much. Just out of interest, in our jurisdiction, Bermuda, we're introducing on the 1st of January in 6-7 months. We call it private information. And it is similar to yours in this big scope. Do you have any practical experience or how you a company manages this process?
You mean the compliance or?
Compliance. Well, I mean, you have to start from somewhere.
Yes, yes, we do. We provide compliance services, and it at least like takes 6 months, and it includes some of the steps that we are trying to get the client close to the regulation. And how we do handle this is we are starting from the first point. We meet each face-to-face meeting with each department and try to find out how they process the data with specific the department. And at the end, we provide them very detailed legal memorandum telling them how to do for, what is missing, what is the right thing, and how they should, improve their achievement while getting close to the, compliance with the GDPR. And after that, we have some steps. And if there are limitations with the amount that they earn within a year. And if they meet the requirements, which is stated under the regulation, they are supposed to register with the database regulated under the institution. So we follow up with that step as well. And we review all the contracts that the client entered into. And we are trying to, cover, and we are trying to heal up what is missing, getting with the compliance with the law as well. After that, we provide educational seminars to the employees specifically, try to tell them how they are supposed to do after the compliance project, because if it is very vital if the employee complies with the law. Otherwise, whatever you do to the client, it's out of blue and nobody does anything. And if they, even if they face with a cyber attack, then everything is, done. So, and it takes approximate 6 months to 1 year, depends on the size of the company and how they process the data.
Thank you very much. That's
You're very welcome.
clear.
Hey, thank you, Bahar.